Probably by the time I was about 11, I'd sort of lost interest in this church stuff. It didn't really...
Do you have any anecdotes that you can share which transformed you into what you are today?
Are you living the timeless consciousness of God? Are you recognizing Krishna, Rama, Sita, Hanuman? In caring for all of life. That's Sanatana Dharma. I think Skanda Vale is about raising this awareness, this underlying awareness of what Sanatana Dharma is. In the sanctum sanctorum, the Buddha's relics, the Quran, Lord Murugan, Lord Subramaniam, Vali Devani, all sharing that place in the sanctum sanctorum of the Gopura.
Women in menstrual cycle are not allowed in certain temples, precisely in Hinduism, really.
Yeah.
What are your views on that? Did you visit India?
Most recent trip to India was in the Kumbh Mela. When I went there, I wanted to find the way to describe this is the silence amongst the noise. I would have a very clear intention for each dip, and then I would go completely under, and you really felt that Devi in the form of Ganga Ma.
You have visited quite a few temples in India. Do you see the difference between the rituals that they follow there and here? Welcome to SoulSync Podcast, Swami Suryananda ji.
Thank you.
How are you today?
Oh, great. Having a great day today. Thank you. Yeah.
There is so much to cover, and I'm so much looking forward for this conversation to cover various aspects. Your personal life, Guruji, Skanda Vale, and the spirituality itself. But before we start any of that, I would request you to start and kick this off with any chanting or a mantra.
Om Ikkatandaya Vitmaye Bhakatandaya Dhimahi Tannu Tandi Pachuriyatom Kam Ganapatiye Namaha Om Ikkatandaya Vitmaye Bhakatandaya Dhimahi Tannu Tandi Pachuriyatom Kam Ganapatiye Namaha.
Thank you so much. It sort of brought all the spirituality and all that peace that I can feel sitting across to you on the table right here. So I would be interested to know your childhood, your origin. Please talk us through.
Where it all began.
Where it all began, yeah.
Okay. I was brought up in the north of England, Liverpool. My parents were both teachers. They were Roman Catholic. I have 3 sisters. I had a very, very happy childhood, very loving parents. I'm very grateful to them for that. I had, I suppose, an interesting introduction to spirituality, probably like many youngsters. As a Roman Catholic, I would go to church once a week. Then probably by the time I was about 11, I'd sort of lost interest in this church stuff. It didn't really resonate with me. It didn't mean much to me. I remember one time sitting there in the church on my own thinking, well, maybe I should be sitting here just in case God exists, but I would rather be playing with my friends. And then probably as a bit of a naughty youngster, I used to then tell my parents I was going out to Mass, and I'd run around the corner and go and play with my friends and then come back, and they'd say, how was Mass? And I'd give them this sort of grunt that probably many parents receive from their teenagers, but it wasn't a yes or no answer, it was just like, ooh, like this. And so I stopped going to Mass when I was probably 11 or 12. And then I was I suppose I was set up to, I was in quite an academic school, and there was a lot of pressure to succeed academically. And up to, in those days, this was many, many years ago, up to O levels, I actually worked quite hard and studied quite hard and was successful. Got into sixth form, and then the aspiration was to go off to university, and initially I wanted to go and study physics. But by the time I got to sixth form, I had different interests, let's say, and all I was interested in was having a good time, in all honesty. And I suppose I began what you would describe as quite a hedonistic lifestyle at that age. I think like many young people, just discovering who I was, looking for something, but not quite knowing what it was in life.
It's quite interesting. I want to touch upon, you were looking to have good time. Can you define what that good time, were you thinking at the time?
I love music. I love going to concerts, to gigs. At the time, the music I was into was rock music, sort of alternative music. This was the late 70s, early 80s. So I'd go to see lots of rock bands. I started going to festivals. That whole scene, really. That was my passion, was music. And I actually joined a band. I played the violin. And my parents they encouraged me to learn the violin. And I was quite good at violin. I was in a very good youth orchestra. But then I used my skills in the violin to actually start playing Irish jigs. And then I was given an invitation to play in a pantomime in Liverpool, playing Irish jigs. It was about the Irish potato famine. And so I had to learn all of these Irish jigs. But little did I know at that time, that was my route to moving out of Liverpool into a different type of lifestyle. So I wasn't successful in getting the grades to go and study physics. I tried to start resitting my A-levels the year after, but I dropped out of college. I left home. I got a flat, and the whole sort of music scene carried on in Liverpool. But I wasn't happy with that. And then for some remarkable turn of events, I was given an unconditional offer to go and study computer science actually in Coventry somewhere. And so I accepted this offer, and my parents were relieved. I had a very, it was almost like a Damascus moment. I was walking, I'd gone to a festival in the south of England, and I was walking across these fields with this group of people, and one of these person turned to me and said, "What are you going to do when you get back to Liverpool?" I said, "Oh, I'm meant to be going to university. I've got this offer." And they said, "You don't really want to do that, do you?" And in that moment, I thought, actually, I really don't want to do that. I don't know what I want to do, but I absolutely don't want to go to university and study. And so I got back home and I announced this to my parents, who were mortified. And unfortunately, there was a bit of an atmosphere, and I just literally left with my violin. No money, no nothing. I left home.
How was your relationship with your parents and your siblings until that point?
When I was young, it was really, really loving and positive. But I think in those teenage years, from especially 15 to 18, I think I admit I wasn't interested in family. I was just interested in being with my friends and trying to discover myself. And so I stonewalled my parents, really. My sisters were all younger than me. So it was very, very difficult for them. And yeah, I think I really appreciate that, in hindsight. But it was something that I had to go through. to find myself.
Today, after so many years sitting here, looking back about the things that you have done, do you regret? Or do you think that what you've done is right?
No, I don't regret it at all. I feel it was something that I had to do. And over a period of time, my parents had an amazing relationship with Skanda Vale, with Guru, and lots happened in their life which came about through my being here in Skanda Vale. And it's just part of a journey. Our journeys are very difficult as they unfold, and everything's not all nice and rosy and all neat and tidy. There are ups and downs and difficult things, and people have to find their own way. I'm very happy that I actually had the inner conviction to know that it wasn't the right path for me to go and to please them, to go to university, but to actually do... I didn't know what I wanted, but I knew I didn't want that. And so...
So you didn't do university?
I didn't do university, no.
So you were 18?
I was 18, yeah. I completely left with my violin. I went down to the south of England, and I lived off busking, playing Irish jigs. That's how I earned my money to buy food. And I had nowhere to live, nowhere to stay, nowhere to go. I had some friends who were working in Cornwall. It was in the summer, and they were working there in a holiday doing waitressing and that sort of thing in hotels. So I thought, I'll go down there. I started busking.
If you can explain for the viewers what busking is, because...
So busking is when you're playing, in my case, I was playing a violin in the middle of a street, and I was playing Irish jigs, which are like traditional Irish folk songs. And people would come up and they would like listening to music, and they put some money in your violin case, maybe 20 pence or 30 pence or whatever, as an act of appreciation for you providing music on the street. So a street musician.
Yeah. So just to explain in the layman's term, you used to take your violin, go onto the street, high streets in London or UK.
Anywhere in the UK, stand there,
play,
and just start playing.
And people going by, they contribute something to you in terms of money, and then that you used to use for your food and your bills.
For getting anything I needed, And as I was busking one day, I was approached by a young guy, and he was fascinated by the busking, and he could just feel the energy of it. And he invited me to come back to his flat, and he was part of a band in Cornwall, and this band had their own recording studio, they had their own setup, their own fanzine, everything. And so I just got drawn into being part of this band, and so from playing Irish jigs, I then began playing electric violin with lots of effects, and I'm part of this band, which was an amazing thing. It was like for a 19-year-old, it was like a dream come true. You're playing in bands, you're doing gigs all over the country, playing in festivals. You've got your own recording studio, an amazing group of like-minded people, and it was just like an idyllic lifestyle, and I loved it. I was really happy.
So, a 19-year-old boy having a full-on life, following his aspiration of being in a band, doing everything that he actually wanted to. What transformed?
I was traveling around with a friend, and I came to again, I was busking. I had to busk to be able to buy food, and I was busking in Carmarthen, and I walked into a cafe. We'd been busking all morning. We had a break, went in for a cup of tea in a cafe, and we were sitting down in a cafe in Carmarthen, just a nondescript cafe. And I looked across, and there was a table, and there was an Asian gentleman, very well dressed, sitting next to a Western gentleman who looked like an English country bumpkin. He was like dressed in like a tweed jacket and then like a little cloth cap. And I looked across at this Asian gentleman, and he smiled at me. And in that moment, I was totally overwhelmed. I had no idea what happened. I like waves and waves of what I now can describe as Anandam went through me. I couldn't cope with it. I just burst out crying and I had to leave the cafe. And the person who I was with said, "Oh, that's Guru from Skanda Vale." So I said, "Well, who's Guru? What's Skanda Vale?" And they'd been here before, but they'd never mentioned it until that moment. And they said, "Oh, it's this place about 10 miles away where there's this guru in a temple and an elephant, and they do all of these services and this, that, and the other." And I just did not know what had happened to me. This was the most profound, overwhelming experience of my life. All he did was smile. He did not say a word. He just looked at me, straight at me, and smiled. And it's waves and waves of the saturated Ananda. My whole being was saturated with Ananda. Overwhelming vibration of bliss and love. And as I say, I'd never experienced anything like that, ever. And I didn't know what to do.
And you went and asked your friend who this person
No,
is?
I had to get up and walk out. I was so overwhelmed. And they came out and they said, oh, what, are you all right? And I said, "I don't know what's going on." And I said, "Who's that?" And they said, "Oh, this is Guru from Skanda Vale." And then they told me a little bit about Skanda Vale. And then I didn't have any other interaction with Guru at that point in time. And I went back to Cornwall where I was living. But something had profoundly changed within me, like a seed had been planted. And I intuitively knew if I ever set foot in this place, my life would completely change. I didn't know what this place was. I didn't know anything about Guru, anything about Skanda. I didn't even know it was anything about spirituality or God. It was this experience of Ananda.
Do you remember the date or year?
Yeah, it would have been 1986.
1986.
Yeah. And it would have been summer 86.
1986,
Yeah.
on a street in the UK,
Yeah.
Western origin,
Yeah.
Northern England born Englishman looking at an Asian person who is apparently looked like a guru.
Well, he didn't look like a guru. He was just dressed in a normal suit.
Normal clothes.
Yeah.
And you said you felt complete ananda. But at the time, across UK, the people would have not looked at Asians in that way, would they?
If anyone would have normally looked at... First of all, it was unusual to see an Asian face in Carmarthen, maybe in London, but not around here. Very unusual. And he didn't look anything special or different. He was very well dressed, but he didn't look like he wasn't dressed in a jalabi or any type of robes, or he was just dressed in normal clothes, Western clothes. But well dressed, but not remotely looked like what a person would consider a spiritual person or a guru or no, it didn't look anything.
So what did you do then?
Well, I went back to Cornwall and carried on with the band, but something had shifted within me, and then I found several months later I found out that there was going to be a meditation course at this place called Skanda Vale, and I remember in those days there's no mobile phones or anything like that, so I remember I'd heard via a friend that this was happening, so I thought, oh, maybe I'd like to go, and I went to the phone box and I phoned them up. And the person who answered the phone it was quite comical. He was like, he said, "Yes, you can come, but you must wear clean clothes and have a bath." And at the time, I was in the scene I was in. I was at what you would class as maybe a bit of a hippie scene or this, that, and the other. So I thought, oh, I can do it. Okay, I can do that.
You were a regular teenage boy.
Yes,
you were still in a teenage.
Yeah,
right?
I was still a teenager, playing in a band, travelling around, possibly personal hygiene wasn't top of the agenda. It was just about having a good time in life. And anyway, so I made this aspiration or plan to go to Skanda Vale. And because I didn't have any money, I had to hitchhike. Everywhere I went, I had to hitch. So it was 2 days to hitch from Cornwall to Skanda Vale. And I remember sleeping in a field on the junction of the M4, M5, halfway, and then hitched the rest the next
Which
day.
month in the year this was?
That would have been in October. Yeah, so it was a bit cold and wet. I had a sleeping bag in the bin liner.
But you were so determined to get to it.
I think when you're that age, you know.
Was it more like a stubbornness in you, or more to get to this place to attain the spirituality that you were looking for?
It wasn't about spirituality at the
But just
time.
stubbornness,
It was about being drawn by that experience of Anandam. I didn't know it was anything to do with spirituality or God or anything like that. It was this experience of love. Overwhelming, saturating vibration of love, Anandam. I was drawn by that experience alone. Didn't know anything about Skanda Vale or temples or anything. So then I remember as I arrived at Skanda Vale, in those days there wasn't a nice tarmac track coming into the temple. It was a muddy track. And there used to be a wooden gate at the end of the track. And as I walked onto this track, I actually walked from Carmarthen, so it was 10 miles that I walked the last bit of this 2-day journey to get here. And as I walked through this gate, the only way I can describe it was an overwhelming feeling of coming home. Within me, the vibration I felt was, or the thing that I felt was, wow, it felt so familiar. It felt like I was coming home.
It's so fascinating. It's so fascinating to hear and know for someone who has traveled all the way to get to here for the first time, and for a 19-year-old boy, he's thinking he has come home.
Yeah.
How do you explain that?
Now I can explain it in terms of that I feel that initial meeting with Guru awakened my divinity.
So at the gate, did you see him, or do you have to come in and meet him?
No, what I'm trying to express is my understanding of why I felt like I was coming home. So it was when I initially met Guru in the cafe. At that point, he awakened something within me. He awakened my divine nature. And so that divine nature is aware of that vibration when it's in contact with that vibration. So when I came through into Skanda Vale, literally through the gate at the end of the track, it was like my inner self knew that this was home. This was where the divine was. This was where the energy of God was. That's why it felt familiar. That's why it felt real. That's why it felt coming home. It's like, now you are beginning on your true purpose in life. You are coming home to what you were incarnated for. And
how was the first interaction with Guruji?
Well, then at that time, then we was coming for this meditation course. I knew nothing about meditation. I didn't know Skanda Vale was a temple. I knew nothing of this. So we were actually sitting where we're sitting now, but it was the previous temple. It wasn't like this 40 years ago. And there was about 40 people there, and we were all sitting on the floor. And there was a big set of wooden doors where these pictures are now. And Guru came came through the wooden doors, and he was holding this little statue, who I now know as Ganesh, right? And then the first words I ever heard him say was, "Three-eyed one with a single tusk and a twisted trunk, with the fawn-coloured eyes, moon-crested one, pot-bellied one, remover of obstacles and hindrances, lord of hordes, here ends the holy Nardapurna." That was the first words I ever heard Guru say.
He's from... Did you understand his accent?
No, he spoke very, very...
fluent English?
Fluent English. Very, you'd almost say Queen's English. Very clear, articulate English. So English was Guru's first language. He was from Sri Lanka, but he spoke English. So he spoke English beautifully, yeah. So, but he chanted this.
Yeah.
And then we were all sitting down. He put the Murti of Ganesh down. And then he started to talk to everybody about, not about God. He started to talk to everybody about mindfulness and awareness and cause and effect and steering your own ship and having a purposeful life. Yeah, he didn't mention God. He was just talking about how to live. And then he went round and he blessed everybody, which I now know was Shaktipat. So he gave Shaktipat.
When you say blessed, usually the blessings come from the divine himself or the deity himself. Did he consider himself as one, or did he consider himself as one of the avatara? You know what avatara is, right?
The way Guru described himself was a traffic cop.
Please explain.
So he would say, yes, I'm divine, but so are you. Yes, I'm a guru, but the guru is also in you. And he would say that his role was to show you how to get from where you are to where you need to go in the shortest possible space of time, the most direct route, traffic cop. So when he saw you, he saw a karmic being. He saw a vibration. He was able to see your whole karmic history from the Akasha records. He knew every single minute vibration, every thought, impulse, everything about you he knew. He would never exhibit his power. He would take a back seat. He would always show people how they could go directly to the divine and connect directly to the source. He would always push people away from relying on him. But he was always there to support, to give grace, to energize.
Yeah, I think it'll be great to know about Subramaniam, Sri Subramaniam, and try to understand what he meant when he said spirituality and how he put it across the people around him who today turned out to be one of you and many of them who are in the Skanda Vale itself.
Yeah.
So what do you have any anecdotes that you can share which transformed you into what you are today? Because spirituality, as you know, is not an easy process for someone who wants to start. It's very fancy word that people use today, that I'm spiritual, I'm religious, etc.
Yeah.
But one that goes through that path understands the kind of effort, more importantly, the determination and honesty that they need to put in to get there. So what sort of things that you had to go through or you have to do to transform yourself? 19-year-old boy, determined, felt Anandam, found Guru, started meditation, but that shouldn't be it, isn't it?
Well, the meditation sort of started and stopped there. So during that week of meditation, I had very, very profound experiences, amazing experiences. And Guru taught us some pranayama, which is breathing exercises, and taught us concentrating from here, from your third eye. But I didn't really continue doing meditation. But that got me hooked. These experiences got me hooked. And the way, at the time, and the way I felt, it was like a little carrot in front of a donkey. And it was like I'd been hooked, and I was following this carrot. And I was there for the week, and then I went backwards and forwards over the course of about 6 months, a year. And then at some point, I had a very profound realization that I could either carry on the life that I had been leading with this band and the music and everything, or I could follow a spiritual life. And it was like I could see these two paths very clearly laid out in front of me. And it was a no-brainer. I knew that if I wanted to be fulfilled in my life, then I needed to follow a spiritual life. And at that point, I'd learned a little bit more about Skanda Vale, about this other coming and going, just staying for a week at a time. And it resonated with me.
It's all great that, you're in a very happy space, but you come from a Roman Catholic.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that the family would have still practiced it at the time when you were here.
Yeah.
And the spirituality that you today follow predominantly is Sanatana.
Sanatana Dharma, yeah.
How was it to take from the family's perspective, one, and two, how was it for you as well? Because we are talking about 1980s, where the Asians itself are less, and then their religions or the cultures is not widely spread across UK, definitely not in this part of the world. How was for you to deal with that? And how is it for your family?
My family were mortified. They're horrified. Guru invited them here before I joined the community. And I was so full on I was talking about Shakti, I was talking about karma, I was talking about this, that and the other. And they thought I'd been brainwashed into joining a mad cult in the mountains of Wales with an elephant and some crazy guru. And all of a sudden I'd become vegetarian and this, that and the other. So they thought I'd been brainwashed into joining some cult. And they pleaded with me to go to a real monastery. And they said, we'll pay for you to go to Taizé or some other Catholic or Christian monastery. And I thought, oh yeah, it's just not, none of that resonates with me. And and the worst thing about it was that when I came here, they brought with my youngest sister, and she absolutely loved it here. But she was only 14 at the time. And so that became a big problem for them as well.
I'm sure it must have been. And even today, not just in Western culture or in the Western societies, but also in the place where this actually is born, the yogic culture, the religious Hindu or Sanatana culture, even there, they do use, when you go to the guru or a spiritual place, that, you will be brainwashed. So what do you like to tell, because you already experienced it and you know the absolute bliss, the anandam that you got. How do you explain to the people who are skeptical, who are not sure, but still they want to get into the path of spirituality? How do you explain them to help them, find a path?
Everyone needs to find their own way, and it needs to be based on their own personal experience, not what somebody else tells you. It needs to resonate with you as truth. When you have, in life, when you have very profound experiences, you know within the core of your being that it's satyam, it's truth. By truth, I don't mean on a superficial level, like objective truth. It's absolute truth. So it's like, it's real, and no one can take that away from you. And nobody wants anything from you. So there needs to be complete freedom. Complete freedom. There's no strings attached, no money involved. Guru didn't make it easy to join the community. He would encourage someone, you need to go and find a wife, you need to go and get married, you need to go do this, go and enjoy life, experience life. You don't want to come here. So it needs to be something that comes from you as a person. You need to really, really want that. And you need to know within the core of your being that this is something that resonates as truthfulness. It needs to be real, more real than the world in which you've been brought up in.
You said Sanatana Dharma.
Yeah.
Can you define what you think about Sanatana
Timeless
Dharma?
consciousness of God. In Skanda Vale, so Skanda Vale is called the community of the many names of God. And you'll see on the walls here that we have many of the world's different faiths are represented. And the way my understanding of Sanatana Dharma is and of what Guru taught through the experiences of our lives is about direct personal experience of the divine, which is unique to every single individual. And each person has their own way of identifying with that energy of God, with the source. And fundamentally, it's about growing in awareness of your own divine nature and of the presence of God all around us. And Guru used to often refer to teaching of Krishna in the Gita as the worship of God in his universality. Everything is part of the nature of God. The sun, the moon, the planets, the stars, the water, the skies, every living being, every inanimate object is all part of the nature of God. Yet we are not aware of that. We're not aware of our own divine nature. We're not aware of our purpose in this life. And so that spirituality is, as Guru described, a voyage of discovery, discovering these things. And Sanatana Dharma is the framework, embraces all of human experience. It's people, I think, wrongly associate it directly with Hinduism. It's not. It's way, way beyond that. It embraces every single facet of human experience of spirituality.
Do you think Sanatana Dharma is not a religion but a way of life? Or to get to a way of life?
I wouldn't call it a religion, and I would actually say Skanda Vale is not about religion. It's about spirituality. And spirituality should be the way you lead your life. So Sanatana Dharma in that context is the way that we live our life, is living spiritually. So, Sanatana Dharma. The pillars of Sanatana Dharma, Satyam Dharma, Prema Shanti, so truth, righteousness, love, peace. Those pillars of Sanatana Dharma are, in a sense, the expression of the highest human values. So Sanatana Dharma is about living those highest human values in our life. Then we are living in the consciousness of Sanatana Dharma, the timeless consciousness of God. And if we do that, then we open ourselves to connect to the source meaning God, if you like the word God, light, truth, whatever, but connecting to the source and connecting within ourselves.
So it's an overarching thing.
It's an overarching thing, yes.
It's an overarching thing. Do you think...
Which embraces every faith.
Yeah.
It embraces, that's the important thing, it embraces the whole of humankind's direct personal experience of the divine. And the divine has manifested through different cultures in different times, in different ages, in different ways to relate to the people of that time. And through many great prophets, through many great avatars, whether it's Christ, the Buddha, whoever, Mohammed, the Desert Fathers, Krishna, Rama, it's that these, the divine manifests in order to reinvigorate and to reestablish righteousness and show through the example of the life of these avatars, for those people at that time, in that place, how to connect with the energy of God and how to have a purposeful existence. And so from that, formal religions are then born. But unfortunately, I think history has shown us that then religions become hijacked through vested interest, through orthodoxy, through manipulation. And so people lose the essence of what actual spirituality is about. And then you start having, my religion's better than your religion, my God's better than your God. It's like, it's a bit of a crazy situation. And, you turn on the television now and you see religion is used as a backdrop to the cause of a lot of dissension in the world, a lot of fighting in the world, a lot of disharmony in the world. And it's nothing to do with that. It's hijacked, because all of that is about the manifestation of lower human qualities like greed, envy, jealousy, lust for power, dominance, superiority. Nothing to do with religion or spirituality.
In today's world, the way religion is perceived, accepted and practiced, do you think it will lead to any sort of spirituality and the path of spirituality?
I think what's important in today's world is that people should be free to practice, to engage in a spiritual practice which resonates with them, and that each of us should respect how another person wants to do that, as long as that doesn't in any way cause harm or interfere with other people practicing their faith, or actually the culture of the country that they're in, and the traditions of the country they're in. So now, the UK now is a multicultural society, isn't it? We have people from many, many different faiths in the UK. And the UK has its own, like every country, has its own identity, its own tradition, its own values. And so what's important is that in the UK, for example, people should be free to worship and practice their faith, but they shouldn't in any way impose that or use that as a basis for criticizing or devaluing or undermining the existing traditions and culture of the country they find themselves in. It should be about harmony. It should be about freedom of expression and looking at how all of the different higher values of practicing this faith can enrich the country that they're in, not pull it down, not try and break it up or impose their own values.
Skanda Vale is multi-faith place.
Yeah.
Everyone is welcomed here. If you were to say how much of the devotees that come here are out of or other than Sanatana Dharma, I know here the pujas are done and the prayers are done not just for the Sanatanam or the, so to say, Hindu gods, but also Islamic traditions, your Roman Catholic, even the Jesus Christ, everyone, Guru Nanak. But do you see the multi-faith people coming in as much as you probably aspire and as much as you wanted to get to?
I think potentially we're looking at two different things. So one thing that we're looking at is a traditional concept of multi-faith, which, okay, you have, I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Jew, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Buddhist. So let's all come together to this particular place and do our thing. I think Skanda Vale is not so much about that. It is about raising this awareness, this underlying awareness of what Sanatana Dharma is, this timeless consciousness of God, elevating people's awareness to what spiritual values do we need to cultivate. It doesn't matter if you're a practicing Muslim, a Christian, a Jew, or a Buddhist, or a Hindu, but in your life, these are the values that you should be aspiring to express. And you will, by coming to Skanda Vale, you can draw upon the energy of God to help align your body, mind, and spirit, and help you to connect in your own unique way to that source to make you a better human being in that expression of those highest human values. I feel that's what Skanda Vale is about.
Brilliant. You've been here for 40 years.
No, yeah, just about, yeah.
Just about 40 years. And not just Skanda Vale or the world itself, but the technology also evolved through that.
Yeah.
When you came, you said you didn't have phone to talk with, but now you have world in your hand, which is your mobile phone.
Yeah.
Do you use phone?
I do.
You have mobile
I use
phone?
the phone a lot, to be honest, yeah. I have a lot of my work within the ashram is administrative work. A lot of the work is also actually, I love playing on toys. I drive an excavator. So I like digging things up and building things. It's one of my passions. So that's like, when I've done too much office work, I jump on a digger and do some digging work or building work. But I do use a mobile phone a lot. I have endless emails and meetings and WhatsApps and all of that. Yes, in all honesty, yes.
What are your thoughts on social media? Are you on social media?
I'm not active on social media, so I do look at things like Instagram and stuff like that, mainly to actually look at posts that we may put out as an organization, but I don't have my own profile. I've never ever posted anything, and I would shy away from that. I'm not into getting friends on Facebook or anything like that. No. So I use WhatsApp as an efficient means of communication within various teams of the work that we do in Skanda Vale. I use email a lot. I think social media can be good if it's used positively. I do feel that people generally find it difficult to be with themselves and find it difficult to turn off. And I think this is one of the biggest problems of social media these days, is that we can't just be with ourselves. People, if they haven't checked their WhatsApp messages or Instagram feed for 10 minutes, they get agitated. And I think it's important that people learn to connect with nature and learn to spend time to be with themselves and to quieten their mind. That's really, really important. There's a time and place for social media. Skanda Vale's not, we've never promoted Skanda Vale, we've never advertised Skanda Vale. We have an Instagram account, we have a website, and we do various WhatsApp groups and things, and that's to post information about the temple to people who want to find out about it. But we've always gone on the basis of, well, if the divine has inspired somebody to come here, then that's great. But we're not looking to attract people to Skanda Vale. We have probably 100,000 people a year come here. It's a lot of people, especially in the summer, where we're running around from 4:30 in the morning till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, moving people from A to B to C. It's quite full on. And it's actually nice for as a monastic community to have a little bit of space in the year, at this sort of time, or in January, February, when things are even, I mean, you saw today, there's even over 100 people here, and it's probably one of the quietest weekends of the year. So, there can be easily 3,000 people, 4,000 people on a busy weekend in the summer.
You said you don't want to promote Skanda Vale, and you don't want people to be invited, rather they should come if they actually feel they want to come.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that contradict from the view that the place is there for people to come and see and feel and practice if they want to?
Yeah, no,
So
I agree with that.
We probably need, don't you think, that it should be more out there for people to see, know, and see it's like this? As spirituality is so much overused, it's such a cliche word in today's world, and some are serious about it. Some actually want to follow it, but they don't know where to start.
Yeah.
So Skanda Vale is definitely one of the places where they can come, seek, understand, and practice if they want to. Yeah. So do you see Skanda Vale to get to a stage where people actually find, I want to practice, I'll go there and I'll do it, and make it more available, so to say?
What I feel is, missing it, if anything, is people genuinely wanting spirituality. Yeah. So, we have a lot of people, it's tradition, you go to the temple with your family, this, that, and the other. But to go beyond that, where you're actually saying, I want to find out the purpose in my life. I want to understand or find out, or more than that, I want to experience God. I want to actually really, okay, I've been brought up a Hindu or whatever. How can I experience Krishna? How can I experience Kali? How can I experience the energy of the universe? How can I find inner fulfillment in my life? And I think Skanda Vale has a big part to play in both in like satsang, in exploring that with people, but also in people just spending time here in the vibration and the energy of God, and witnessing the world, the nature, the community, the interactions, and finding meaning and inner peace in doing that. And Skanda Vale is definitely here for that to happen. And in a sense, the divine will organize that. I mean, this is part of that. We haven't organized that. You approached us to do this. But it felt right. So we're doing it. And where it goes, I have no idea, but the divine's organizing it. So that's great.
Do you think Sanatana Dharma discriminate religion, people, race, creed?
Well, it shouldn't do. Sanatana Dharma shouldn't do in any way. It's not true Sanatana Dharma. There should be no discrimination. It should be about equality.
Vasundharaya Kutumbam is word used with Sanatana Dharma.
Which word?
Vasundharaya Kutumbam,
right.
Which means world is a family.
Yeah.
The planet Earth is a family.
Yeah.
Everyone under it, including animals.
Yes.
Everyone is part of same family. But do you think the women are being discriminated in certain religion or in Sanatana Dharma? I'll give you an example. Women in menstrual cycle are not allowed in certain temples, precisely in Hinduism and religion. Yeah. What are your views on that?
We have a similar thing here. So women are not allowed in the temple, but we ask them to stay towards the back of the temple if they're having a menstrual cycle. And the way Guru used to describe that is that on a practical basis, the body is ejecting certain elements or impurities. And the sanctuary is you want to try and uphold the highest vibration of purity there in the sanctuary. And so that's why here we ask if people don't eat meat. if they're coming in the temple, and we ask women if they're on the menstrual cycle to stay at the back of the temple. We ask if somebody's been involved in a burial of an animal or a person, then they stay at the back of the temple or stay outside, because there's a practical element of decay in that interaction, and also often with death or dying or something, there can be an emotional involvement. It's about something very simple and very practical. It's not about, we don't feel it's about discrimination in any way. It's a practical way for us to maintain the purity of the sanctuary and of the sacred space. And so that
Are you comfortable talking more about it if I ask you?
yeah, of course, yeah. Nothing to
you-
hide.
You mentioned impurity,
Yeah.
sanitary. What is impure about a woman being in menstrual cycle? The science says it's the evolution of humankind is
Yeah.
through woman's womb.
Of course, yeah.
And it's that process. So the very beginning of the humankind would have started from there. And what makes it impure for them not to visit a religious place where the actual people who are doing or offering prayers to the God are from the same thing. So
Well, as I say, there's no, people are welcome to visit, but we just ask them, ask ladies who are having a menstrual cycle to stay towards the back of the temple. In the Ranganatha temple, they can attend where everybody else attends because of the practical element of water around the main sanctorum, and that water acts as there's a practical element to it, and the body. I'm not a doctor or a scientist or anything, but my understanding is during menstruation, the body is ejecting blood and other items, which then are also, there's an element of decay in the ejection of those things from the body. So it's not that the woman is impure, it's just a practical way of understanding and dealing with that thing. It's not a judgment on a woman at all. It's absolutely not that. And we hold women in the highest respect. They're mother of the universe. We have a whole temple dedicated to the feminine aspect of the divine. So it's important to ask the question. We don't shy away from that. It's like, similarly, vegetarianism. So why do we ask that people don't eat meat if they're coming to the temple? So it's important that people understand that. So in that context, when an animal like a cow or a sheep or a chicken, when they're going to be slaughtered, they have fear. They generate adrenaline, and that courses through the whole fibre of their being. When the cow goes to a slaughterhouse, it can sense all of the other animals that are being killed, and it has this amazing fear. And so that by eating meat, you're ingesting that vibration into your whole being, that fear and that whole negative vibration. And then it's not going to be helpful for you as a person to bring that vibration. Similarly, with a funeral or dead body, apart from all the traditions that go for different religions, have different traditions, how long they should not go to the temple if they've been involved in a funeral. But apart from all of that, just the practical elements of when the soul has left the body, it's decaying. That body is decaying. There's an element of decay in that. So your proximity to that decaying body, you're sharing some element of that vibration with yourself. And so you're carrying some element of that vibration, in addition to the emotional involvement you may have had with that, whether it's a pet or an animal you're looked after or a member of your family. And so you don't want to bring that vibration of decay. That needs to be an element of time given for that vibration to subside, and then through changing clothes, through washing, whatever, then there's the time to come closer to the sanctuary. So it's based on practicalities.
So we talked about vibrations that these whole things can bring in if they come close to the space where there is a positive vibration, the energy, right? What sort of impact that may have on the positive energy, vibration that's already there, which is cultivating more because it's spreading more among the people? For example, I'm not just saying Skanda Vale. Generally, I want to take your view on this. Going back to the menstrual cycle, my understanding, obviously, from whatever I've learned, is for the practical reason why women were restricted from going to the temples, because back in the day, temples were always far away from the communities. People need to hike, and obviously, for the practical reasons, the women were asked not to go to the temples. And also the kind of asanas you need to do in front of God. You need to bow down your head, you need to lay down, etc. But in the today's world, everything is so much available with the science and the kind of support a woman gets. So again, I want to take your personal view, not just Skanda Vale, personal view, that do you think in today's world where we have everything for them to support that particular cycle during those course of 4 to 5 days, they should be more comfortable from their side, and also to encourage them to visit the temples or generally anywhere they want to, not just temples. Do you think there should be more inclination towards it, or do you think, still there is a practical element that they need to resolve to get to the temples during that period?
Probably if you asked women, they're all different. Women are all different, and some women find it, I think, very difficult during the menstrual cycle, physically and emotionally, and other women may find it not so difficult. There's no, they're half the population of the planet, aren't they? So, and I think, I'm not a woman, so they're probably, if they're listening to this, they'll think, you've no idea, mate. You've never had a menstrual cycle. But we have sisters who are part of the community, and the younger sisters obviously go through a menstrual cycle. So like anyone in a family, if you've got a sister, you've got a mother, you observe, you see, you watch. I think it's, there should, generally in the world, especially for young ladies in schools and in parts of the world, there should be proper sanitation, there should be proper products available for them, proper education. So it's a normal part of life, a normal part of being a woman, and it shouldn't be stigmatized. They shouldn't be, it must be terrible. Maybe you're a girl in school and you're just coming into your first menstrual cycle. You must be terrified, and you're worried about your classmates, you're worried about your parents, you don't know what's going on. It can't be easy. And so there should be proper education. I mean, it probably is a lot better now than it was when I was at school, but I'm sure there's still a lot of lacking, and certainly I think even in the UK, with the cost of living crisis, just to be able to afford the proper sanitary products for young ladies must be really difficult. For single parent families and things like that, to be able to afford proper sanitation, sanitary products, it would be very difficult. And there should be support for that, because it's a normal part of life.
And I think they should have the personal choice to do what they want and what they don't want when they're going through that phase. Because as I said, everyone is different, every woman is different, every woman goes through a different hormonal imbalance and mental balance. It should be their personal choice, is what you're saying.
There should be understanding and support that it's a normal part of life.
Thank you so much for touching upon that. Do you travel?
Yeah, sometimes.
Did you visit India?
I've been to India many times, yeah.
Which parts?
Most recent trip to India was in the Kumbh Mela.
Kumbh Mela?
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Oh, that was quite an experience. I went to, my last trip to India, I started actually in South India, Tamil Nadu. I went to Tiruvannamalai, Arunachala. It's a place very close to my heart. I love it there. Agni Lingam, it's the manifestation of Shiva, it's the column of fire. We're actually hoping, Skanda Vale has a little plot of land near the mountain. We're hoping to develop a retreat centre there. But I love it. I love Tiruvannamalai. So we were doing some work in the development of that when I was there. And then we went from there up to the Kumbh Mela. And I was staying in they have different villages in the Kumbh. I was staying in a village there. It was an amazing experience. And it was interesting because when I went there, I wanted to find, the way to describe this is the silence amongst the noise. So I think this is a Maha Kumbh. So there was 650 million people over, 8 weeks or something, 6 weeks, and I was there for I think 3 or 4 of the royal dips. So I was there in total for nearly 4 weeks, and it broke with a trip to Varanasi in the middle, and the most amazing experience of the Kumbh for me was the dips, was dipping in the Ganges. So we were just down from the main point of the Kumbh. So it was like the first ghat down from there, the Triveni Sangam, and I would go every morning at about 5 o'clock in the morning. A group of us would go down and we would have a dip and then go again in the afternoon. And it was an amazingly profound experience. I've been to India quite a few times, but I've never been to the Ganges. What was really beautiful about it was that, so you have this sankalpa, this intention when you're dipping, and the first one is for yourself, and then it's for your lineage, grandparents, parents, so all members of your lineage who are not physically in the body anymore, and then it's members of your lineage who are still in the body, and then you can do additional dips for anybody else. So I would have a very clear intention for each dip, and then I would go completely under, and you really felt that Devi, in the form of Ganga Ma, took that sankalpa and carried it, and especially the lineage karma, the weight of that lineage karma was lifted and lightened by the grace of the Divine Mother in that act of dipping. And it was a really, really profound experience, no matter how tired you were or how, the Kumbh Mela is a noisy place. So there's non-stop noise, like with millions of people. And it's interesting, I had no desire, I think once or twice I walked through it, but I had no desire to go around and seeing all the sadhus and this, that, and the other. It was about finding this silence amongst the noise. And one thing that I also really experienced was on the days of the royal bathing days. That's when all the masters, all the gurus, all the saints, both in their physical body and their etheric bodies or their astral bodies, when they come to give their tapas shakti to humanity, and you really felt at that particular sacred time, in that particular sacred space, you felt an amazing presence of these Mahayogis, Maharishis, giving to the world their tapas shakti to elevate the consciousness of humanity. And that in dipping at that time, you're not there just for yourself, you're there for everybody who you carry with you. And then that emanates out to the world. And it's profoundly beautiful experience. Amazing.
Almost everyone says that Sanatana Dharma is religion. And as part of our conversation, we try to understand that it's not, but it's an overarching thing, which all the religions probably sort of elevate themselves to get to that Sanatana Dharma process. What do you like to say to the people who say that everything that you explained is a Hindu religion thing, it's not a Sanatana Dharma?
I would like to say that spirituality is not religion. Spirituality is how we lead our life. It is the expression of the highest human values, culminating in the highest value of, or aspiring towards, the expression of unconditional love, which is the love of God. And that transcends all religion. It is the birthright of every single person on this planet to experience that, to live that, and to discover that within themselves. And people get so tied up in knots about my religion is this or my religion is that, and it's just, really, I feel it's a load of rubbish. And it's a complete distraction from actually what Sanatana Dharma teaches us. Satyam Dharma Prema Shanti, the highest expressions of human nature. We are one human race. As you said earlier, actually, and I'm glad you touched on it. And it's something that I'd like to share with you, that it's not just about a Sanatana Dharma doesn't just embrace the human race, it embraces every single life on this planet. And one of the greatest gifts that Guru Subramaniam, gave to the world was the awareness of the sanctity of life. And Skanda Vale, a big part of Skanda Vale is the awareness of the sacredness of every life. The reason why every life is sacred, because the gift of life is the opportunity for that soul to evolve through the fulfillment and expression of its karma. That's why life is sacred. And human beings shouldn't feel that they have the right to deny the soul the opportunity to fulfill and express its karma. That's why life is sacred. And then in the living of that, that means caring for life. That means compassion. That means looking after each other, looking after another life, giving of ourselves to care for another being, whether it's giving water to the birds in the winter or some seed, whether it's mucking out of a cow, feeding it some grass, whether it's taking care of an old cow. We have cows here who they all die naturally. They're never put down. Put down means kill. They're never put down. They're cared for. The vets come out. They work with us, providing medication, pain control, like you would do with a person. You wouldn't put your mother or father down. This awareness of the sanctity of life and really pushing the boat out in caring for all of life. That's Sanatana Dharma. That is, through that, you are experiencing the presence of God both within you as an instrument of the divine in caring for another life, and you're experiencing the presence of God in the life that you're caring for. That's what Sanatana Dharma is about, not some whole pile of orthodoxy and religion and tradition. I'm not devaluing that. I'm not saying that's not relevant. That has its place and can enhance it's a structure which helps you work with the energy of God. So we do abhishekams, homas, all sorts of rituals here, chanting, all pile of stuff. All of those are good. And all of those are very powerful methods to help the human being connect with the energy of God. But unless your underlying, the way you're leading your life is in alignment with the true essence and values of Sanatana Dharma, all of that's like tinkering at the seams. It's not going to have its true effect. If you're leading a good life, if you're serving life, if you're expressing compassion and sweetness and love and tenderness, then all of those things will massively enhance your ability to do that. They will help you to connect with the energy of God and help you to be a more effective tool in serving the divine.
That's such enlightening, crystal clear about where Sanatana Dharma and the religions and how they can amalgamate towards attaining that bliss that every one of us are actually wanting but doesn't understand the path to it.
I think, I'm talking, so a lot of the ritual here is what people would identify with as Hindu ritual, homas and abhishekams and stuff. But each religion has its own methods, its own practices. And if those methods and practices enhance the person who's following that particular tradition, if they enhance their ability to be a good human being, then that's following Sanatana Dharma.
I want to come to Skanda Vale back.
Okay. Yeah.
This is such a beautiful place, probably one of its kind, and please do let us know if there is anything like this where religion is not the ultimate, but multi-faith is the ultimate thing. I would want you to please tell us how the Murugan Puja actually conducts, because I know as part of that, I'm not going to tell. Please, you explain how the puja goes.
Which puja are we talking
Murugan
about?
in the morning.
In the normal daily puja, so we start by offering arti. So arti is where we have a fire, lamp, deepam. So in our case, we have it's either camphor or it's like ghee and cotton wool. And we offer fire as an invocation to all of the different aspects of the divine that are represented in the temple. So you're inviting those particular...
Please name them.
Okay, so we have, we would start by offering it to Ganesh. So we always start with Ganesh because he's the remover of obstacles. He's what we begin every venture with. And then the next one is Murugan, who is the main deity in this particular temple, and his two Shaktis, Vali and Devani. And then we would offer to Lakshmi. Lakshmi is the aspect of the divine that is wealth, success, prosperity, and then Vishnu, who is the preserver of life, and his different avatars, Rama, Krishna, different avatars of Vishnu, Narasimha, and then Saraswati, who is refinement, the arts, knowledge, wisdom. Then Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is in Sanatana Dharma, you have Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, so creation, preservation, and dissolution. So Lord Shiva is the element of the divine, which is dissolution, but dissolution not just to destroy, but in order to bring about change and transformation. And then the feminine element of that, Shakti, Durga, Kali, and then from there, we would then go to Guru. So we have where Guru used to sit in the temple, we have his chair and his picture, and we would offer Arti to Guru. Then we would offer Arti to Lord Buddha, and both Tibetan Buddhism, which is more of a mystical type of Buddhism, and then normal type of Buddhism, and then Christ and Mary and the Jewish faith, and then sometimes we have all these the pictures in the back. So we have the Muslim faith, we have Zoroastrianism, Parsi faith, we have Guru Nanak, Sikh religion, Mahavira, Jain religion, and then all the different aspects. So also Saint Francis of Assisi, who's very close to Skanda Vale, and different elements of the Christian faith. So these are arti to all these different facets of the divine. And then we start chanting, and the first chants that we do are to the Buddha, and they're done in Pali. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. And then Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. So that's in my mind when I'm chanting that, I would say like, I venerate you, Lord Buddha, the Prince of Arhats, the fully enlightened one. And then you aspire to follow the Dharma, and then the Sangam. So the Sangam is the community here, identify with the community here, who are supporting that journey of you on your spiritual journey. And then we chant the 5 precepts. So these are the precepts of the Buddha about respect for all of life, not harming any life, about truthfulness, about not being excessive in our sensual matters, that those sorts of things. And then we chant to Lord Shiva, and whilst we're chanting to Lord Shiva, then we chant to all the different aspects. So there's 2 chants going on simultaneously. And then after that, we chant a beautiful chant to Lord Vishnu. So that chant to Lord Vishnu embraces the totality of the manifestation of the divine in every element of life, the universe, truth, untruth, in the natural world, in the 5 elements, embodied in every life, the subtlety within our whole being, all part of the divine. And then we chant to Lakshmi, the consort of Vishnu, the feminine side, and then we chant to Shakti. So the different elements of Shakti, Isha Shakti. So this is the power of will, Kriya Shakti, the power of action, Jnana Shakti, the power of wisdom, and then Parashakti, Adi Shakti, Mahashakti, all the different elements of Shakti. And then we chant different Christian prayers. So we will chant the Our Father, Hail Mary, a beautiful prayer as well to the Lord in the Christian tradition. O Father, the source of all good, and the goodness of thy heart is infinite, the bounty of thy hand immeasurably great. Like a river thou pourest thy gifts, so over thirsty mankind, and fillest us with blessings in time and eternity. If thou preserve us not our temporal goods, our industry is in vain. Almighty Father, lift thy hand and bless our temporal possessions and keep them from misfortune and loss. Give us the desire to use our temporal goods according to thy will, to employ ourselves usefully after thy pleasure, and to give joy to our neighbours, so that we may lay up treasures in heaven where no thief can enter, no moth nor rust destroy. So it's a beautiful prayer, seeking us to live for the divine to protect us in our practical life. And then we do a final arti. We chant again to the Guru, to Gayatri, and then we do a final arti.
You were a Roman Catholic, I think you're still, and you learned I would say Hinduism, because that's the word easily people can connect with all the gods and their rituals and mantras and chants. You also do archery to other religions, like Muslim and Buddhism. Did you learn those rituals? If the answer is yes, where did you and how did you learn?
So one thing that we have here, we're very privileged to have relics of Lord Buddha here, actual relics of Lord Buddha and Shivali and the great arahats. And those relics came from Guru's mother. There's a picture of her on the wall there. She was a great mystic in her own right in Sri Lanka. She had her own temple. And anyway, before she left the body, she gave the relics here. And so every Wesak is the celebration of the birth, enlightenment, and death of Lord Buddha. So we have a special service here on Wesak where we bring those relics they're kept in the Gopuram, with the main where Lord Murugan is, and we bring those relics, and people have the opportunity for darshan of those relics. So we actually open a reliquarium and they can see the actual relics of Lord Buddha and many arahats, hundreds of relics there. And so that, in terms of
Islamic,
in the Gopuram as well, we have a very, very special casket with a tiny, tiny sacred book of the Quran, and it's kept in that same place, in the sanctum sanctorum. The Buddha's relics, the Quran, Lord Murugan, Lord Subramaniam, Valhi Devani, all sharing that place in the sanctum sanctorum of the Gopuram. Absolutely amazing.
I think that again, I want to tie it back to the Sanatana Dharma, which says Vasundharaya Kutumbam, which is everyone is part of same family. And this actually illustrates in a very crystal clear way for a common man to understand what Sanatana Dharma is. I want to touch upon some lighter side. How do you entertain yourself?
Digging.
That's a great hobby.
Yeah, no, I sometimes it's work and sometimes it's fun. I think the projects that everything that you see in Skanda Vale, especially from when I first came here up to more recent years, was actually built by the members of the community. The temple that you're sitting in, the grounds are maintained. We physically built the temples. So I've been privileged to be part of that, actually building the temples. So it wasn't like craftsmen from India coming over and building the temple. We actually built them. We learned the skills to build them. So all of that, in a sense, learning on the job, you just get such a joy and fulfillment from doing that. It's also nice in a community. You're a family. Yeah? So we have 25 of us live here. We're a family. We're very, very close as a family. We have much love for each other, for the members of the community, and so we chill out together. We might have a laugh together. Might have a meal together, and just like chill out and relax together and enjoy each other's company. And it's really lovely. There's what you don't have. If anyone tries to be holier than thou art, if anyone tries to be sort of overtly spiritual, or you asked a little bit about living with Guru, and part of Guru's work was the destruction of your egocentric nature. and there was no respite. Every minute of every day, he was on at you. And through the experiences of life, it was the destruction of your ego. And it's not comfortable. It's traumatic at times. But you knew that whatever he was doing was because he had this immense love for God within you. And that he longed. That's all he didn't want anything. But that brought him a joy to see when that divinity within you was activated and was present and was expressing itself. And part of him helping you to do that was destroying the egocentric nature.
I would love to continue this conversation as long as it goes, because there is so many areas that I would like to cover. But we have only a certain amount of time. One last question before we carry on for the next time, whenever you provide the time. You visited quite a few temples in India and attended. Do you see the difference between the rituals that they follow there and here? And do you think that there the rituals are different or same?
I mean, quite a few temples do Abhishekam and that sort of arty and stuff like that. There are similarities. So I suppose the style that a person would see here was what probably is more often seen in South India, the style. But they are done differently here, for sure. In terms of when I was learning the to do Abhishekam or just like Arti or Puja, whatever like that, it's about totally identifying yourself with that aspect of the divine. It's about this. So if I'm doing an Abhishekam, everything carries with it a meaning. Nothing is haphazard. Nothing is just like offering milk or offering water or offering this, that, and the other. It's working with the energy of God, working with the power of the divine, bringing that manifestation of energy of God into that murti, and then witnessing the interaction. You as the pujari is witnessing the interaction between the devotee and the Lord, and you're a privileged part of that. What is going on there? Especially when the energy
facilitator.
Yeah, you're empowered by the divine to facilitate that beautiful interaction. So you witness the love of the devotee, the love of God for the devotee. You witness that interaction, and it's profoundly beautiful. That's what it should be. And sometimes that's lacking in
many parts.
In
you
many
think
parts.
It's more materialistic. It's more for the sake of it. It's just that doing it.
I've been to there are some particular temples which you really feel an amazing presence in India. I've been Mukambika is one, Vaishnu Devi temple is one, Palani is one. These are amazing temples where there is amazing presence and power of the divine. But more than temples, I feel that the most profound places I've been to on pilgrimage, one is Kailas, one is Arunachala. Those two places.
Would it be a fair assessment to say that the majority of people who say that they're following Sanatana Dharma are not following, just they're taking it as granted and they're doing it without the actual will, profoundness, determination, more importantly, the truth, which is one of the core aspects of Sanatana Dharma?
I think if people, Guru used to say, okay, you call yourself a Christian. Are you emulating Christ in your life? You call yourself a Buddha. Do you express the compassion that Lord Buddha had for every living being? You call yourself someone who's following Sanatana Dharma. Do you live following Satyam Dharma Prema Shanti? Is that what your life is based on? Never mind all the rituals and stuff. Is the essence of your life? Are you practicing Sanatana Dharma? Are you living the timeless consciousness of God? Are you recognizing the presence of God in every living being? Are you recognizing Krishna, Rama, Sita, Hanuman in every living being? Are you recognizing the earth you're walking on as Bhumi Devi? Are you recognizing, experiencing the wind as Vayu? Are you recognizing and experiencing the sun as Surya? Are you experiencing fire as Agni, as Lord Agni? Or are you just bumbling along through life calling yourself a practicer of Sanatana Dharma and chanting some mantras?
Swami Suryananda, it was enlightening. Coming from you, transforming yourself from a teenager onto a spiritual practitioner, and now sharing your knowledge and learnings for the rest of the world was a privilege, honor, and more than anything else, it was enlightening for me, and also for sure people who are watching it, it's going to be a great, great experience. There is a lot of things that we probably missed because of the time, but with your permission, next time we'll try to cover that. Thank you so much.
Happy to have another session. It was fun.